Hello, my name is Michael McGill and I've been a skateboard fan for close to 30 years now. I've grown up enjoying Pau Peralta, Bones Brigade, Mike McGill, Caballero, Tony Hawk, Lance Mountain. Really love all the old school skateboard decks. This year, 2014, sees the 30-year anniversary of the McTwist, made famous by Mike McGill from the Bones Brigade. So I decided to go down to Bondi during the practice for the Bondi Bowl-a-Rama. And this week I caught up with Mike McGill, and here's my interview with him. Thank you for listening. Let's start off then. Okay, so you went to California in 1978 with your good friend Alan Gelford. What was the reason behind that? Is that where the skateboard scene was in those days?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Florida skating, and Alan Gelfand, as you know, inventor of the Ollie Air, had taken notice to me, and I went down to his place a few times down in Hollywood, Florida, about 3.5-hour drive or so. And at some of the contests, one day he said, "Hey, I'm going Christmas vacation. I'm going to stay at Stacy Peralta's house, and my uncle lives there too. So if you want to come, just get a ticket. You can come along."
And how old were you at the time?
I think I was like 13 or something.
Wow.
12 or 13, yeah.
What did your parents think of that?
They were like, "Well, you're staying at his uncle's house, I'm like, yeah, his uncle's house. But we stayed all over the place,
Excellent.
And at Stacy's.
Yeah.
And we got to meet Stacy, and we skated a local park there, Marina Del Rey skate park, and saw guys like Pat Noho and Christian Asoy, very little guys. And we skated a bunch of parks that Christmas vacation, and I remember Stacy telling me, there's this photographer from Skateboarder Magazine wants to shoot a couple pictures of you in the keyhole pool, upper keyhole pool. So I was doing this trick called the layback air, It was invented by a Floridian named Kelly Lynn. Everybody thought I invented it, and I tell them, no, I didn't. I just inverted it, so it looked like a totally different trick. And I didn't think anything of it. And then Stacy called me up when I had gotten back to Florida a few weeks later and said, "Hey, Mike, there's a little picture of you in the Skateboarder Magazine this month. You should check it out." I was like, "Really?" So I was, I skated 3 miles to the drugstore to get the magazine. I went through it, front to back. I couldn't find it. I went through it twice. I was like, "Man, it must be small, but I don't care. It's my first picture, And Lord and behold, I opened up the centerfold, and there it was.
Wow, the centerfold.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So probably coming on, 30, 35 years now, you and Stacy Peralta. How much of an influence has he been on your career and your life?
Oh, a huge influence. I mean, he's more like a big brother to me. And, he's really only, not too much older than us.
Yep.
But pretty much, has been with us since puberty, I should say.
Okay.
Taught us the ways and the ways of the world.
Excellent. Now, when you moved to California, he was part of the Z Boys. So guys like Cahill, Alva, Adams, were they guys you looked up to when you were younger?
Oh, absolutely. I had Stacy Peralta, Jay Adams, Tony Alva, all those guys on my walls, from posters, thinking like, wouldn't it be cool to meet these guys one day and skate with them? And then sure enough, it happens, within a few years. I mean, that was just, it blew my mind.
Now you're the older guy and the younger guys are doing that with you.
Sometimes, I guess.
So soon after you joined the Bones Brigade, you teamed up with Caballero, Hawk, Mountain, Guerrera, all the boys.
Right.
What was that like? Did that feel like a special bond as a group then? You had someone as a bit of camaraderie? You weren't out on your own?
Yeah, I did. Well, the original Bones Brigade, besides Ray Bones, Stacy Peralta, Jay Smith, Alan Gelfand, and then I was kind of like, I just kind of got in there a little bit, and then Caballero got in like a month later or so, and then Stacy was like really looking for people. And then it was kind of bittersweet because we thought, we're going to be this big team. And then the guy who got me on the Bones Brigade, Alan Gelfand, and then guys like Ray Bones Rodriguez, they just kind of dropped off. They didn't continue on. Well, things structurally got kind of funny with skateboarding. Like they were more structuring it like for the Olympics.
They wanted a bit more freedom.
And it was very tight and like compulsory runs, making people do hand plants that didn't do hand plants and that kind of thing. And that's not what skateboarding was all about. No. It was more about freedom of expression. do what you do, you know. It's like telling an artist you can only paint dolphins.
Yep.
You know, yeah, it just wasn't right.
It became a bit of a business.
Yeah, so it was kind of a bummer for us because I was like, but I still love skateboarding, and you know, I'm gonna keep doing what I do. Mm-hmm. So then it was the new, you know, the new and improved Bones Brigade, led by Stacy Peralta, myself, Steve Caballero, Lance Mountain, and then Tony Hawk, and then the newer street guys like Tommy Guerrero and a few guys, Jim Thiebaud, you know, and it was, you know, things were changing, but always for the better.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's been the best thing about the Bones Brigade?
The best thing about the Bones Brigade is just hanging with a bunch of guys and traveling the world.
And you're still going?
Absolutely, yeah.
What's been the hardest or the worst part?
The hardest, probably, you know, being away from home the longest, you know, and your friends. And,
Has that become harder as you got a bit older? Now you got kids?
Oh yeah, but now it's it's kind of my
escapism.
Time now. But you know, in the days we would go on tour for 3-4 weeks at a time. It was very tough because sometimes you didn't always want to be on tour. You know, there's only so much. You need to take a little break in between. You know. So, but for the most part, I can't complain.
And now with all these Masters competitions around the world, you guys catch up again?
Absolutely, all the time.
And the Dew Tour?
Yes, I did the Dew Tour last summer. I was invited, and I did pretty well there, and I had a really good time.
Throughout your whole career, would the 27th of August 1984 be your pinnacle moment?
I'd have to say yes.
How do you find that in today's culture? It's almost it's a dictionary word now. Everyone talks about it in the normal lifestyle about the McTwist. You turn on the Olympics, the winter sports, they're talking about the McTwist. It's part of life now.
Yeah, you know, it's very humbling. And my brother just texted me a few days ago about, hey, they're saying McTwist in the Olympics all over the place. They mention you, and a trick invented by McGill in the 80s.
Pity he didn't copyright it.
Yeah, right. I do have a little copyright.
Now, the snake and skull, how did that design come around? Was that from you?
Well, yeah, it's owned by myself and George Powell. And we both kind of, I worked with one of his artists, is actually his brother-in-law, VCJ, very famous artist. And we started coming up with elements, you know, that I wanted. And I knew I wanted a skull on my board. But he had like some giant horns on it, like a devil at first. And I was like, no way am I doing that. I don't want any horns, you know. And then we're thinking, well, you know, let's get some elements from where you're from. I was from Florida, so there's lots of lightning and there's lots of snakes. And that's when we came up with the rattlesnake. And
And what about the fighter pilots, or the jet?
Oh yeah, my first board, that F-14 was a Navy recruiter gave me a folder at high school, you know, and I was like, man, look at that cool jet. That'd make a great first graphic for someone. Hey, how about me? And Court just, you know, threw some crazy twist to it. And,
now, you mentioned Christian Zoy earlier. Throughout your career, you guys have come up against each other on the ramp, on the vert, heights. What was it like competing against him all those years?
You know, it's tough. He was, you know, even today, I mean, anytime we enter a Masters contest, these guys they're competitive, you know, they're not going to let up, you know, it's just a little reunion. They're on you, you know, and he's got that power, you know, to just keep, in the 80s, he's just boosting, you know, and has that leg strength, you know. Last year he was here competing, he was hurt for most of the time and just dropped in and
kept going.
Had an unbelievable run and got like third or something, you know, and all of us have been practicing for days and he only had a couple of sessions. So I think very highly of him, you know, his turnaround with his addiction to drugs, and, you know, he's just done a complete 180.
I read his book, amazing.
Gave me a copy of his book. And now our kids, you know, kind of see each other at different events. And,
excellent.
He's a great dad, and it's good to still be part of skateboarding.
Awesome. Now, in 1989, mate, you became an actor. You were the stunt double for Christian Slater in Gleaming the Cube.
Yes, yeah. That was...
Any follow-on acting from there, or that was a one-off?
Oh no, we did some other stuff, you know, here and there, but probably movies you wouldn't see normally in the theater. You'd see them about 3 a.m. on YouTube.
Now, with Gleaming the Cube, do you think that's when skateboarding became popular culture then? it went out to the mass market, the more people then got to see skateboarding?
Absolutely. Anytime skateboarding hits, that was before the internet, and when skateboarding was featured in any kind of big movie like Back to the Future, I had a lot of kids come say to us, I saw Back to the Future, and that made me want to skateboard. I was like, really? Is that all it took? The Gleaming the Cube, there was Thrashing we did. I think Caballero was in that too.
Wasn't there a Police Academy 5 as well?
Police Academy 4.
4, sorry,
I think Chris Miller was in that as well, and Stacy, second unit, directed that.
Yep.
There's last year there's Parental Guidance came out.
Okay,
with,
that's right, yes.
Billy Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my stuntman friends invited me to be one of the X Games guys on the ramp, and I think Sean White was supposed to be there, and I got there, it was Tony. They had got Tony at the last minute. He didn't know I was going to be there. Yep. So it was me, Tony, and Sergi Ventura, and a few guys from Atlanta, and we skated this beautiful ramp for 2 days, and it was
awesome.
It was great. Yeah, and you can actually see that in Printed Ice. You'll see those guys.
Soon after, skating sort of went from vert to street, and then you sort of moved away from there into business and started your own company, Chapter 7.
Yes.
You've also got a line in Walmart in America, and you've got your own skate shop. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, the skate shop's been going, this is our 26th year.
Wow.
And I started it because when I first got to California, I was excited to see, my board in a skateboard shop, and I went in the surf shop, and I asked them where's the skate section? They're like, in the back, Mike. I'm like, where in the back? Underneath the t-shirt rack. I was like, this is not good. So I opened up a little 300 square foot store with no bathroom, and I just had local guys run it just as a skate shop while I was touring and whatever. And after touring stopped, I just put everything I had into it, and we have it today.
It must make you pretty proud watching all the young kids coming in buying skateboards and then growing up with a skateboard instead of going to, say, computer games or something else.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with computer games as long as you don't do it, 24/7.
Yep.
You need to
stay active.
Absolutely, and skateboarding is just so much more of an artistic, so to speak, sport that you can, Yeah.
Sorry to bother you guys.
Sure.
Over and get a photo with
Oh,
you.
absolutely. Sure.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I won't be long. Mate.
All right.
I guess as well, another thing that to keep skateboarding going is the X Games. That has been absolutely revolutionary with skateboarding. Do you sort of wish now that it had come around, or you've been around a bit younger when X Games started? When you look at all the endorsements and all the money these guys are making, and just the profile that the skateboarding has received from the X Games?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we had something like the X Games, that would have been, that would have been insane, But, as it turns out, everything happens for a reason. When we started out skateboarding, we never knew we would actually make any money at it. We were graduating high school, Lance, Caballero, and myself, and, we had no money. Our parents were saying, are you going to go to college? What are you going to do? I'm like, well, yeah, eventually, but we were still touring. We were going to Europe, Japan, New Zealand, Brazil, all over. I'm like, it's going to be a long time before I can afford these type of trips. So I might do it for a year or so, and then I'm gonna go to college. Yep. And then it went from 1 year to 2 years
to 10,
and then to a third year, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go to college. And then we actually started making some money. So I said, all right, well, let's make a little money, so that'll help with college. And that went on for 4 or 5 years. It was a very, very short time that we actually made money.
Yep.
It just made everything better, of course, because we could all buy houses and cars and whatever. But never would have thought that I could travel the world and make a living on skateboarding, for sure.
And Bob Burnquist, he's a friend of yours.
Absolutely,
a little bit
yes.
younger, so he's one of the new guys that came through just after yourself.
Yes.
What a career he's had in X Games. Was it 20 gold medals over 14 years? I think he won his first medal in the year 2000, and won his last one recently in 2013.
Yes.
Does he get the credit that he's due?
Sometimes. Yeah. He's an incredible skater, and he's come up to me before and said, I was a little kid watching you on the Bones Brigade videos, Mike. I'm like, really, Bob? You're not that much younger, are you? And we were to his place recently. He concreted his old half pipe in. He showed up at the Manly event last week and just only had a couple of practice runs and just made everybody go wild. Like, we just couldn't believe. Sometimes we didn't know if he was skating goofy foot or regular foot. It was. Wow. He's very unique and so fun to watch express himself.
And what about Bucky Lassick? He lives in your local neighbourhood, doesn't he?
Yep, Bucky lives a couple miles from me. I skate his pool sometimes with him. It's a huge monster pool. We skate Tony's ramp. To watch him take tricks and just tweak them, and he's got so many combinations and so many, his appetite to just to discover different ways of doing tricks and is amazing.
I just had a chat with him earlier, and he was very forthcoming, gave his time, he's been signing autographs.
Oh, good.
It's good to see that the skateboarding community is so open to everybody.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, the people in these places, like the people in Bondi are just awesome. They come out with their families, and some of them take a week off of work and help the people that put the show, the whole show on, just because they love it, you know. There's guys from Brazil that come just to hang out.
Yep.
Really great community.
Awesome. Now, away from skateboarding, how do you spend your time? Apart from family, of course.
Apart from family, well, I have 3 kids. Merrick's 12, Hannah's 9, and Jaden is 5. And they all skate a little bit here and there. Unfortunately, my son just broke his wrist while I'm gone.
So do you think your kids will follow in Dad's footsteps, or are you pushing them away, or just let them decide?
I don't push, and all I do is offer the opportunity to skate with Dad and do whatever you want. And I think if they do a little bit of everything, their life will be content.
Okay, now lastly, this is your big 5-0 this year, along with Lance Mountain and Steve Caballero.
Yes.
We're having a big party here. We're going to call it the 150.
Sure. Well, with Tony, it might be 2 years
younger.
No,
not with Tony, sorry, Lance Mountain. Lance Mountain's 50 this year. So,
yeah. So, we might have to do a little celebration.
Oh, mate, you're looking good for your age, and it's much appreciated. Thank you very much for talking to you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you.
Yep.
This is the 30th year of the McTwist.
30 years.
30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. 84 to 2014.
Actually, how do you keep fit at shouldn't say at your age, but how do all you guys in the Masters keep so fit?
Just good food and a little yoga.
Yep.
Helps
yoga.
Out tremendously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.